Bienvenidos a un capítulo más de Diálogos Sensoriales. En esta ocasión seguimos con la modalidad itinerante y tengo el enorme placer de platicar con una gran amiga. Ella es de Francia, Aurélie Bonnard, que, bueno, simplemente le vamos a dar la bienvenida para conocer un poquito más de su historia, del programa FIZZ, la historia de Biosystemes y cómo ha mejorado la vida sensorial en esta parte. Aurélie, thank you very much for accepting this interview, and please be very welcome to this talk.
Thank you for welcoming me today.
It is really nice to speak with you. We need to say that we tried to do the interview face-to-face, but it was not possible. So thanks for the Zoom tool to do this. And I will start asking you about you. How did you arrive to Biosystems or to work with sensory? Can you tell us a little bit of your background and how you arrived to Biosystems?
Yes, of course. So I studied food industry at ONIRIS in Nantes. That's an engineering school in food industry. And so I discovered sensory at school, and especially during a student project on judges' performance for sensory analysis. And and between us, that was also the first time I have discovered the FIZZ software. And at this moment, I was really far from imagining that the importance that this software would have in my career and in my life. and at this moment, as I have always been attracted to mathematics and numbers, I found that sensory analysis was the perfect combination to apply numbers in an interesting context. I mean, to use numbers to explore the judges' perception and to better understand consumers' preferences. So that's why I specialized in sensometry just for a few months in my third year at ONIRIS. And after that, everything followed naturally, I would say. I had my first experiences in companies providing services. Okay. So I organized consumer tests and managed some sensory projects, some sensory panels. That was for 1.5 year. So I learned a lot at this period because the studies were really different. We test for the food industry, of course, but also for the car or cosmetics industry. So using standard profiles, discrimination tests, but also temporal methods, for example. So, and I was a FIZZ user in all of these companies, so in 2 different companies. 3 maybe. And then I was recruited at Biosystems. So first to become a member of the FIZZ support team. And then I was more involved in the sales part. And now I combine both of them. And so since then I am not a sensory scientist at all, but I work in close contact with these people.
Right. So what is the best part of working in support or the worst part? Or both?
In support and what?
In support, yes.
Yeah.
Providing support.
Yeah, providing support. For me, that's I really like the contact with people, and I like to try to be the most efficient to help them. So yeah, that's always for me a pleasure to assist our FIZZ users, and I like that also because we we can have a look at different sensory projects, sensory things. We can discuss in many different contexts the use of sensory.
Right, and during this pandemic, how was the evolve of the sensory data collection? I mean, 3 years ago, it was like something normal. Everybody attended to a physical place, but after or when starting the pandemic, it was like crazy. How do you have a feeling about that, or did you experience that transformation?
Yes, of course, that has changed a lot during this period, and I think that will never be the same as before because many habits will remain. So at the beginning of the pandemic, that was really, I think, stopped for a moment because it was the companies have to organize themselves. But then, of course, the panel and the consumer were all done remotely. So that has changed a lot the use of the FIZZ software. For example, at this time, we had 2 different versions, one for testing lab and one for remote tests. So of course, now that's the second one which is used the most. And yeah, I have discussed with some people working in sensory companies at this period, and I think it was also very difficult. All the logistic organization, the distribution of the products, that was a really big challenge. Probably, yeah, the biggest challenge at this moment, how to distribute the product. And of course, you can't work the same for when you have some product that needs to be cooked, things like that. That's really difficult.
Right, and your first experience was panel performance, and nowadays, I don't know. Do you think, or I'm asking this because you attended several conferences, and you might know this trend about how to measure a panel after the pandemic. Is there a new trend, or it's the same? Have you heard something? Do you still like that?
No, I haven't heard anything about the panel performance. Any change due to pandemics. I guess it's also more difficult because the methods and the products are not standardized, and maybe not so homogeneous as when it is prepared in a room by the same people. But no, I haven't heard anything about a change in the methods, in the statistical methods or things like that.
Okay. And how is this is kind of difficult question because I don't know how to ask it without sound kind of like separate the generations. But have you seen a change of the way people is asking for help? Is more easy now than before? I don't know, because at the beginning it was like more programming than now. Is there a change on the user side about asking questions?
Due to the pandemics, you mean? Or
no, during all
generally?
these years.
Okay. Really difficult to say. I don't know. Of course, I think now we have less issues due to the use of computers, especially because people are really used to use tablets or laptops or anything. So when I was younger, when I was in the support team before, maybe 10 years ago, we had sometimes some issues with people who were not able to that was not easy for them just to send an email, for example. And now, no problem with that. So, but yeah, in the way of asking question, no change, I think.
Okay. And well, going back a little bit with the Congress or conferences, which one do you suggest for people who is starting to sensory to attend? I mean, in your region, I mean, because also, you know, in other areas like in Asia or in Africa, but which one do you suggest for people who is starting into sensory?
I have attended most of the Pangborn and Eurosense. I didn't attend any other. Yeah, I have attended. I attended as well SSP, but that was for the US part. But I like them, Eurosense and Pangborn, because they are really general, so you can see things, links to the methods themselves, but also on the sensometrics. So yeah, that's really general, and that cover most of the parts interested in sensory, I guess, and consumer.
Okay, thanks. And can you share us a little bit about the history of biosystems, just to people know?
Yes.
Who or when did it start?
Yeah, of course, that's a long history. So Biosystems was created in 1985 by engineers from AgroSup Dijon. Yeah, there were some friends, and they have decided to create this their own company. At the beginning, it was the aim was to provide solution for process automation, and also automation of control in a lab or things like that. And I think they had some first trainings on sensory at school, but that was the really beginning of sensory. So they have thought that that was a good idea to develop this part and to provide a tool to automate the sensory tests and consumer tests. So they have created FIZZ. The first version of FIZZ has been released in 1989. So yeah, and the first version was on Minitel because there were no computers at this time. So yes, they have been really creative, I think, at the beginning to find solution to install FIZZ in many companies.
Yeah, because of the firewalls, or well, at that time, I guess it was like Windows 3.11 or 95.
I think in France we had Minitel at this time, but I am not sure computers was really were used a lot. I don't know. And of course, I was not there at this time. So.
But did you have the chance of install FIZZ with the floppy disk, or it was just no?
Maybe you had this chance, but not me.
Yes, it was crazy. Yes, 12 different diskettes. It was crazy, but it was fun as well.
But we still have some of them, and sometimes we are speaking about opening a museum about FIZZ.
That would be nice. Yeah, tell us, and we can share it, because it's interesting. Also, you can see the evolution of the technology with FIZZ as well.
Yeah, of course.
Now I remember the first time using floppy, but now you just make one click and you download the program.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how technology evolved, and that's something. In my case, at least, I was accompanied by FIZZ all the time. So yeah, you should do that museum.
yeah, in order to appreciate more how I can easily install it today.
Right. Yes, but because people nowadays who didn't have the chance to use those floppy disk, it's they should know why FIZZ is still on the road. I mean, how the program evolved. It is not just like just programming and that's it. It's all the history and it.
Yeah. And of course, the web has opened, has enlarged the possibilities and how fast it is to install it and to access to any information. Yeah, of course.
Right.
And also for the data collection now, it is done through the web. So
right. Yeah, there's no need to struggle a lot with network on the companies or the firewalls and etc. Yes, it's well, there are some security issues, of course, but it's easier than before, I guess. Great.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you receive? Well, I don't know if you can measure this, but how about the questions from the users? It's easy for you to detect trends or which type of methodologies are on fashion nowadays or not. I mean, at the very beginning, the triangle test or the descriptive profile were the number one techniques. But nowadays, do you know that it's possible to measure it?
That's really difficult to measure, I think, because people ask questions only when they don't know. So I am pretty sure that they use profile or discrimination test without any problem. So I think we can have a biased opinion. But but of course we have seen how it has evolved over the time, because I remember when I've started at Biosystems, so that was 14 years ago. That was the beginning for TDS at this time, I think, at least with the software. And of course, temporal check all that apply hasn't existed at this moment. Same thing for the rapid methods like mapping or sorting. They have emerged more recently, so we can see that they are trendy. I think we have more recently. We got more. When I say recently, that's the 4 last years, maybe 4 or 5. We have more question about rate order apply methods, and also I think these days kata is often apply.
Okay, so it's more mixing or doing flexible the current methodologies, not develop a new one. I don't know. Maybe.
You mean? Oh yeah, I agree. I think in the last few years there were no real new methods. I think now people or scientists focus more not only on the tests itself or the methodology, but more on the environment. So we have more research on the context and also the use of new technologies, not to change the type of test, but to change the way you will ask the question to get people more involved in the test or things like that. And and about the contexts, but not on the tests themselves.
Right.
I guess.
Okay, no, thanks. I will now ask you some 2 EFC questions just to know a little bit more about your opinion.
Okay.
You need to select one of them if you want it.
Okay.
So, red wine or white wine?
Red or white? I prefer white wine.
Okay. Tetrad testing or triangle testing?
Difficult, I would say tetrad.
Okay. City or forest?
I think I like to live in a city.
Traditional descriptive analysis. Sorry.
No, but I like to go in the forest during my weekend, but yeah, I am a
We need some green always. Okay, traditional descriptive analysis or rapid methods?
I would say traditional descriptive analysis. It's probably easier, no, not easier to use, but you can get much information from simple data. Maybe
Great.
easier to analyze than rapid methods.
Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast.
Analytical or consumer testing?
Consumer testing.
Tarte tatin or crepes?
Crepe. Definitely, I like crepe a lot.
Okay. Parametric or non-parametric statistics?
Difficult to make a choice. Parametric.
Okay. QDA or spectrum profile?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Data collection or statistical analysis?
Data collection.
Okay. Preference mapping or PLS?
Preference mapping.
Okay. Thank you for your answers. Going back to the sensory field, from your side, which will be the minimum skills, if there is, or that a sensory analyst should have, like methodologies or testing consumers or facilities? What do you think are those minimum skills?
I think, of course, that's important to have a good overview of the different methods and when you need to use which methods. I mean, depending on what you want to do, what you want to understand. And I think that knowledge in statistics is very helpful. At least basics. Yeah, but
okay. Good.
And I think, yeah, that's also good to be not maybe the skill part, but to always be curious and to learn from all studies that are done, or to, yeah, as you say, to attend some congresses, to learn from other people and other experiences.
Right, that's interesting. No, the networking. Do you think then it's a good way to know more? Yeah,
of course, and to learn from older people who know a lot. So at the beginning, I think it's really important.
Okay, thank you. And what would you say to that people that claim sensory is not worth it, or sensory is not providing more information than just tasting? If you can say so. I mean.
Yeah, I have. What do you mean? Yeah, you mean to work with trained people more than?
No, in general, like sensory is not working for me. Sensory doesn't provide me any additional information in my company, for example.
In comparison to analytical data, for example?
No, I mean,
Sorry.
no. Let me rephrase then. What would you say to the people who is not using sensory nowadays because they don't believe in sensory? What can you tell to them to use sensory in general way, both analytical or consumer?
Yeah, yeah. I think that nothing can replace the human judgment. I think even if we do some tests on a product and we are sure that one product is better than another, I think you can be very surprised by the reality and how the people will choose one product or will perceive one product. So yeah, definitely, I think you need sensory in addition to other measurement methods, but you need to use both and to combine.
Right. Thank you. And let's say, well, you mentioned that you didn't imagine how or how sensory will change your life in a matter of sense. But if you have a time machine and came back to that exact moment when Aurélie will decide to start working with sensory, and then you had the opportunity to tell something to her, what would you say to her?
I don't know. Probably that was the right choice, I think, to start working at Biosystemes, because for me that's a really interesting experience, and I am completely happy in this company and with my colleagues. So I would say to be confident in the future.
Okay, good. And can you tell us what is coming in the next year for Biosystems, or not years, but in the future for Biosystems? Is possible how FIZZ will evolve or something like that? Is possible?
Yes, there are two topics, I think, for Biosystems. We are now starting a new page in Biosystems story, because as you know, Biosystems has been purchased by Vela Software since 1 year. For 1 year, sorry, and that has made us partners with CompuSense, another key player in the development of sensory software. So that bring us a lot of possibilities, I guess, and so that's a new part for us. We learn to work with other people and with another company, and that's really rich, I think. So that's the really beginning. So we will see how we can make that evolve, but that's the new part for a big change for Biosystems.
Right.
And for FIZZ especially, how it will evolve. I don't know if I can say how that will evolve. Of course, we will stay focused on how we can satisfy our customers. So we keep improving it continuously. And yes, we will keep to be aware of the new methods and the new things. We have a few projects to renew the software and to improve it, especially the calculations part, for example. It's already a really powerful part of the FIZZ software, and with really advanced statistics, but we would like to have more reports that you can see directly from our web platform. with FIZZ Collect, things like that.
Right. And I know this is a difficult question maybe, but how can you describe FIZZ?
I am used to do demo
Yes.
for 1 hour, so if you have time. No, FIZZ is a sensory software solution to collect sensory and consumer data. And it helps you in every stage of your sensory and consumer product, because you will build the questionnaire and then collect the data and also analyze them. And you can also use the database part if you want to track the data and track them over the time, I mean.
What's the best part of FIZZ for the users?
The best part of FIZZ? I really like the data collection part today with our new FIZZ 3 version. I think we worked a lot on the user friendliness on this part, and that was and we had a really good result on that. So yes, I really like this part, and I think it's really convenient to use and to track the results in live and to track the progress of the judges in the booth. So yeah, these days that's my favorite part, probably because that's the newest, but yeah. And also the analysis, because yeah, that's definitely a big difference with other software. That's the advanced statistics that we have in the software.
Yeah, without exploitation or data manipulation. That's really nice. You mentioned something that is user-friendly. Most of the people say that I want a software that is user-friendly, but how can you describe user-friendly?
That's when people you guide people over the software to do the thing they want to do directly. So for FIZZ 3, for example, we have worked a lot with naive people. So we have built some scenario. I mean some short story. Today you are in a sensory lab and you want to do a triangle test and you want to run your triangle test. You have 2 repetitions and you want to run the first one or things like that. So some instructions, and we have just filmed them to see how they react with the software, and if they went directly to the right option. And we have adjusted the software thanks to this test. That was a really good experience, and I think we will keep working with this step in our development part. And of course, so that was naive people, sometimes people who have no knowledge in sensory. But of course, now we have that FIZZ 3 has been released since 1 year, the first version. So now we have a lot of feedback from our users. So we will keep adjusting it now with the feedback users.
Right. I just came with a question about how different are these concepts from different countries. I mean, have the same problem. I mean, for example, building a profile question or a discriminative testing came from 2 different places, whatever places in the opposite part of the world. The trouble is always the same, or it depends on the region or the style of working with sensory. It's the same idea, the same question?
Yeah, you are right. It's difficult to answer accurately, but you are right that sometimes we can notice that the way we explain things or the way the software is done is well understood by European people, and sometimes that's more tricky with other people. But I would say just in the way of answering question. I don't know for the use of the software exactly, but yeah, for sure there are probably some issues. You are right. Maybe we did the test with the users they were only French users. Maybe we should try with people from Asia or from America for the next try.
Right. Okay, that's nice. It's something that for a program that is global, that is used in the world, that it's difficult to cover all the opinions, right? So it's interesting how things will evolve later. Okay.
Yeah, but I think now, thanks to the conferences and things like that, we work globally, so the same methods are known all over the world in sensory, I think, and that's a small world. So I think there are a lot of communications between the sensory scientists all over the world. So I don't know if there are so many differences.
Okay. And well, time flies, and we are just arriving at the final part. But do you remember your first question or the first question you received at your first day of working? Was it hard? Was it easy?
I think the first mails I had to answer, that was more to guide clients to build a special questionnaire. That was because when you are new in the support team, the rest of the team gave you this type of problem because that's the easiest to answer, I guess.
Okay, maybe. And do you have a very difficult question that you remember? Like, I mean, what would be the more complicated question?
It really depends on the people in the team, I guess. We have some people who are more specialists in the really technical things. I mean, regarding the server and the installation. So that's not my favorite part. I am not the expert of this part. But so it really depends on which member of the support team. For me, the really technical thing can be hard sometimes, and I would say sometimes with the statistical questions, because sometimes people don't know, for example, which method they want to use, and we are not statisticians, and that's not our role to answer such questions. So this one can be tricky.
Yes, that's difficult. Sometimes people ask which method is the best to analyze my data, and
yeah,
I understand that.
But
yes.
That has a big impact on the results at the end. So I think it's not my role to decide that.
Right, that's a suggestion for the user of any software. Yeah, they need to know the limits. And Aurélie, I know you said you are not a sensory scientist, but I'm pretty sure you have read many papers. Do you have a suggestion for the people who is trying to deal with sensory, a paper, a poster, or a book that they can have it or read?
I think they are never far from me. So they are just. I think I use two have two books which are always on my in my office. I really like this one.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if you can see.
Yes,
Sensory evaluation of, yeah, you know it, this one. I think to understand statistics and, for example, which comparison tests you need to use after the analysis of variance, that can be really interesting. Right. And I used another one, which is the French one. Sorry.
No problem. And okay.
That's general manual on sensory, and I think that's we can find really good information on the basics for sensory generally, and how to manage a panel, and also on the statistical parts. So I think this one is really good when if you can read French and if you start in sensory, right. To get a good overview and the basics. Okay,
thank you. And without doing any trend or something, the general questions of the use of the sensory science in the case of FIZZ are the same no matter the region. I mean, it's like sensory nowadays is more global, or you can see that there are trends on depending the region.
I think I don't know exactly, because as you know, we work with partners, so we have especially the question from European people. You get the one from American people, and we have some partners also in Asia. So maybe we could do another interview, all of us together, and we can share about the trends.
Some workshop, yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know exactly. I can't answer. I think.
Okay, I was curious about that.
But there, I think the concerns globally, the concerns have changed. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can these days, as we said earlier, there are not so a lot of new methods recently, and so I think people know how to use the software and everything, and how to build the questionnaires, but they are more concerned about how can I say, you say that at a moment about the risk due to the web or things like that. So we have more and more questions and concerns about the risk due to for the data security or the things like that. Yeah, the main concerns are not related to aspects that are directly linked to the business, but rather around it, I would say. So for a few years, and especially, I think this is a direct results of GDPR, which was announced in 2018 in Europe. So one of the main concerns of the clients is related to the data security and the personal data protection. That's logic, because now the data are collected from any devices, not only devices which are predefined and which are internal to the company. So it has increased the potential risks. So yeah, I think we have more and more questions about that. And we have, and here at Biosystems, maybe that's something I could have said when you talked about the change for Biosystems or the evolution. We have another major concern, which is not linked directly to the business, but which has emerged more recently. That's related to the sustainability aspect. So I think it becomes essential now for many companies to make sure that they work with companies or with providers that take into account the well-being and the respect of their employees, but also the environmental impact. So yeah, and here at Biosystems, that's a subject that is particularly, I would say, close to our hearts.
Right.
And we have the chance. We are lucky. We have the chance to have passionate people in our team. So who have been trained on the subject. So yeah, that's why it's something we want to focus on and continually improve. So that won't change, I would say, the methods available in FIZZ, but that will probably have an impact on how they are developed, how the development part. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that these two concerns have emerged in the last years.
Wow, nice, nice. Finally, do you have a LinkedIn contact or email that you can share to the people who wants to know more about sensory fees or to be in contact with you?
Yes, of course. We have a LinkedIn page, which is called FIZZ by Biosystems. And yeah, you can also contact us at information@biosystems.com, and someone from the business team will answer your question for sure.
Great. Merci beaucoup de participer aux diálogos sensoriales. And do you have something else to add to this interview?
No, I think do not hesitate to contact us if you have a question for the FIZZ software, and now also the computing software. We know both of them. So yeah, we are always available and really concerned by the customer satisfaction. So
Right.
do not hesitate.
Yes, best of two worlds. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, Aurélie. And a ustedes muchas gracias por vernos. Si les gustó, denle like. Si no, no digan absolutamente nada y lo pueden compartir también en sus redes sociales. Nos vemos en la siguiente ocasión de Diálogos Sensoriales. Chao, chao. Thank you.
Bye.